Good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum, dear friends. Uh, my today's concern is obviously that concern has been raised by some of my friends. That is about recent ordinance issued by President of Pakistan regarding corrupts and corruption. Well, as we all know, that no one can guarantee security of anyone in corrupt environment. Well, it is an issue of common sense. When everywhere there is corruption, how can we guarantee the security of anyone? So I came up with this argument during a meeting with the principal of police training center and some other police officials here. As a correspondent, sometimes I'm from the official news agency, so sometimes we meet. I always give my fair analysis of the situation to them without any fear and favor. So when I came up with the ins and outs of the whole issue, almost everybody was convinced that, of course, in corrupt environment we cannot survive. Our security is always at risk. So now some of the people they are referring to Article 62 and 63 of our constitution, of Pakistan's constitution. Well, that article is there, and it also set the standards for our representatives, uh, political representatives in the government, in the parliament. And I think I'm not through with the whole text of the ordinance issued by the president, but I think that that will be more comprehensive, and that will encompass all government servants plus representatives of the people, in brief, politicians. So corruption is I mean, it's a disease which is quite contiguous in nature, and so everybody shall, the preventive measures to save everybody from it shall be taken, and that will be a good way of doing things. Uh, Article 62, 63 is also good, that also needs implementation. In fact, the corruption has become so rampant that if we haven't realized this earlier, now we shall realize that we are almost heading towards the status of banana republic. Talking through my own experience, I mean, only in banana republic someone can say to you that okay, your experience and your higher qualification and your honesty is not needed. So, and then 2% result of civil services exam. These are all eye openers before me, and obviously all friends of mine who have gone through this experience. How corruption engulfs able and educated and attracts the semi-literate or sometimes illiterates towards high government offices. India is a good example of it. Some of the people among the illiterates who were attracted towards parliament, not only they had won the seats, but they had ruled their respective states as chief ministers as well. I don't want to name anybody, but that is it. They're there. And, so I think that once that corruption element is being removed, then only educated and honest and dedicated people will be there in the domain of politics here in Pakistan. And if somebody else follows the suit, they will also they will also get the fruits of it. And my own opinion is that I welcome the ordinance of President of Pakistan that shall be taken seriously. All proven corrupts, whether all the convicted ones, whether they are in government offices, whether they are public representatives, as politicians, they shall be declared ineligible for those offices. Without it, we cannot. Our destiny is going to be a banana republic, and everybody knows what happens in banana republic. Already, there are plenty of incidents which I can highlight as examples of banana republic. In Balochistan, happenings in Balochistan and happenings in KP. Those bloody scenes were all indications of our movement towards the status of banana republic. The checks and balances are always there in a civilized society to save the people from tyranny and oppression. And one more method is that control on corruption makes those government and public offices less attractive to the extremely corrupt. So if the punishments are there, then awfully corrupt people they will be hesitant to capture such positions. And I think that it's a good omen that finally President of Pakistan has realized that there shall be some reform by years. Then violence in Middle East is another concern of some of my friends. I always, being a journalist, I used to write too much about Middle East as well, with the intention that there shall be peace between Israel and its neighbors, Palestinian neighbors especially. And I hope that will prevail. some incidents this week, were quite sad happenings, and I hope those acts will not be repeated again. The problem is of awareness. I mean, those who get allergic with UN, they shall know that UN Charter, though that is not an ideal document, we are having five veto powers. So the principle of equality has been ignored in the Charter. But still, that Charter is having enough light in it, which can promote peace in developing world. And all those leaders whom are now allergic with UN, they must read the the idea given by President Woodrow Wilson of USA. He came up with the idea of League of Nations, the first ever world organization. Of effective nature. So it is all matter of persuasion. At the platform of General Assembly, if you are coming up with truth, I don't think that anyone will ignore you. And obviously your concerns will be taken into consideration. So UN is still a good platform to settle all the disputes among nations in peaceful manner. In academia, that debate is very common, that in existence of five veto powers, how that principles of democracy, egalitarianism, and equality before law, these principles are being ignored in UN Charter. But still, I think that in its raw form, UN is a good platform. And those who are having power of persuasion can win for their countries. They can win peace even. What we need is that induction of good diplomats, educated ones, those who can do their jobs with full dedication. So I don't think that those who are allergic with UN now are, I mean, they never came up with another idea that then in case they are going to stop funding of UN, then what other option is there before humanity? I mean, no nation is so powerful to dominate the whole world and make it a single unit. And as long as we do have separate identities as countries, then some common platform is required where people can sit and talk. And I think all good humans, they listen to the truth and logic, and generally humans are all peaceful beings. So I am in favor of existence of UN. And, I don't think that stoppage of funding to UN will help anyone. There is one more event today which I was unable to attend in Peshawar. That was regarding some friendship efforts between India and Pakistan. Well, to all those who extend invitations to me, I just want to let them know that I am a government servant and cannot participate in any sort of regional or religious type of gatherings, and where some biased thinking is also there. And I'm also allergic with narrow-mindedness. I mean, narrow thinking that doesn't suit me. I am in favor of good relations between India and Pakistan, and I always plead for a European Union-like situation here in subcontinent. So we, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India, and all other Sikkim, Bhutan, Nepal, even Sri Lanka, we can be part of that union, and we can live in peace with each other. And prior to that, it is utmost important that Indian establishment shall shun the Chankyas philosophy. During past few days, I was reading Chankya's quotes on internet. That guy, he was really cruel man, and his thinking is really. I mean, if I come up with all the quotes of him, that India's status as a peace-loving country, because as followers of Chankya's philosophy, that India's status of UN member as peace-loving country, that will become disputed. Chankya, his thinking is really very cruel, and he is deadly against honesty. The whole Europe is being built upon honesty, especially Great Britain. Europeans, Americans, they are now into space, and they've conquered the space on the basis of honesty. And Mr. Chanakya, ancient philosopher of India, he advised that the eggs shall fall on the honest first. And now that what has happened to me here as a monitoring officer in FDMA, that the follower of Chanakya came and he told me that we don't need your honesty in higher education. Now I realize that Chanakya is not only prevailing there in India, but obviously the Ra has its own tentacles in the subcontinent. So many Chanakya philosophers were followers of Chanakya were around me. So the more I'm going deep into the whole this issue of Pak-India relations, the more I'm convinced that Chanakya, his philosophy, is being spread here in Pakistan. Being a follower of Muhammad Ali Jinnah is commonly known here as Qaid-e-Azam, the prime leader. Recently, in a meeting with my students, ex-students, at a wedding lunch, when they have tried to start a discussion with me, I just plainly told them that honesty is the best policy. That was pronounced by the Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. And if you guys will ignore this, you cannot, you will all be heading towards Banana Republic status. You cannot move ahead as an individual, as a father, as a brother, as an individual member of society. If a person is not honest, even with himself, one shall be very honest. And that is the key to success. Chanky's philosophy that eggs shall be uh, devised for the honest, that is, he was an artist probably. He wanted unrest in society. We have living examples in Europe, in America. Those who have developed themselves on the basis of their honesty, their own organizations, their countries. These vivid examples are there. So, in brief, it is not good to stick to the philosophies which are anti-human, but were presented by ancient philosophers having some sort of religious status or something like that. That will not help in promotion of peace here, or cannot help in promotion of peace anywhere in the world. Chanakya's thinking is not advisable. It is not workable even. India is in a big trouble with this philosophy, and its small neighbors are also suffering too much. So, my utterances might stir the thinking of people, establishment in India. Recently, I came across some comments regarding Pakistani establishment. Well, if we go through the history, we'll come to know that our president, Field Marshal Ayub Khan, he came up with the idea of joint defense with India. Joint defense of some country. Our thinking is not new. Some of the elders were really very intelligent. But no one was willing to accept that in India. His proposal was rejected. And what is the outcome? Violence. Because some people are bent upon to stick with Chanakya's philosophy in Indian establishment. So peace in subcontinent has become a casualty time and time again. Pakistani establishment is a dynamic one. We do adjust our priorities with changing needs of the times. There was never a very harsh stance on Indo-Pak relations Pakistani establishment. Just to please the uh, Indian establishment, when Rajiv Gandhi came to Pakistan on a visit, even certain uh, uh, boards regarding signs regarding Kashmir were removed from the streets. Indian Raw is uh, doing activities in Sindh, in Balochistan, and since long those activities were ignored. During past 1 year or so, we came up and with steps against those networks which are being operating here of Indian Raw. As more enlightened, as more educated, we know that all the efforts of Chanakya's followers are in vain. They cannot prevail. In present age, such a cruel philosophy which Chanakya has presented hundreds of years ago, that is not workable. Nobody will tolerate that. And good thing about Pakistani establishment is that they keep on reforming themselves. They can. If you come up with some solid idea, some reasonable, rational thinking, they can change their policies. And as good neighbors, as I've told you, that they can even to please you that your Chanakya philosophy is prevailing. They can remove the signs of Kashmir where Indian forces are committing atrocities. Just to please the guest, they did that during Benazir's Bhutto's era. Though she by herself was very strict and always had taken Kashmir issue to international platforms. Now, what my observation is that some younger ones from her family, true Bhuttos, they are being pampered by Indian Raw. A journalist colleague of mine, I mean, not in a sense that we never had worked together or we never had written in the same paper, but somehow a journalist colleague of Bhutto family, from her assertions, sometimes I deduce that Raw has succeeded to infuse some Chanakya philosophy in her mind, and she is saying things which are infused in her mind by Raw. Her father was killed here. He was brother of Mohtarema Benazir Bhutto. And being a young lady, she is so concerned. Indians have tried to pamper her and take advantage of her fears. For her information, I want to tell all of you that Pakistan and India, they rarely move in accordance with the research findings of academia or literate journalists. Mostly they follow the Bollywood movie plots, in which, as she is claiming, that brother has been killed by her sister. In Indian movies, they make it like this: they kill the brother and accuse the sister. So the murder of Murtaza Bhutto, that more seems to be a plot of Indian movie. That brother has been killed and somebody is trying to make an effort to fix her sister, his sister, in his murder case. And the funny fact is that from murder of Liaquat Ali Khan till the murder of Murtaza Bhutto and Benazir Bhutto finally, nobody ever came up with any clue. Nobody has been convicted. External intervention is so much here that, especially of raw penetration, is so great that I think that we shall keep on working to stop the existing networks of raw all around the country, with special focus on Sindh and Balochistan, to save our people from further devastation. And now, all those who are least bothered about increasing presence of Indian Army in increased numbers, that shall be also our concern, because Ross penetration from both eastern and western border, that can be more fatal for Pakistan. So the better is that with the better option is that while talking peace with India, we shall keep on working on eradication of these security threats against these networks of Indian raw within Pakistan. And our young people shall know that these are common practices of Indian law, that they trap our youth, unemployed youth, those who are deprived, those who are affected adversely. Though might be, I mean, uh, say for example, murder of Benazir Bhutto and that Murtaza Bhutto, that might be a plot of that specific organization which is now pampering that young journalist of Bhutto family. It's a very tricky situation. And obviously, those who are less educated, they do have brains, and sometimes they conspire so efficiently and so effectively that even we cannot reach to any clue how they did that. So I don't think that any one is doing good to herself or himself while falling into trap of any subversive network within Pakistan, propagating or acting against one's own country. And I think that our establishment should strive its best to prevent such subversive networks from operating here within Pakistan. So these were a few concerns recently raised before me, my friends, and I think that I mean nobody can change the minds of the people overnightly. With awareness regarding civil, political, and economic rights, regarding UN Charter in subcontinent, will lessen the conflict. Rather, will uh, reduce the importance of all other issues. Because once the humans they get freedom, they, they start thinking economic freedoms are necessary to promote healthy thinking among the populace, same as the case with civil rights and political rights. So I think we shall concentrate on this. All those who are peace loving within India and Pakistan, they shall concentrate on promotion of civil, political, and economic rights of their people. Uh, I'm not good in promoting any propaganda piece or anything. As I told all of you earlier, that all initiatives are funded by myself. And as I earn, I do spend on by these humanitarian activities. So the ideal situation in subcontinent is like European Union, economic integration, joint defense. All these issues are more important for the survival of the humans here in subcontinent than Chankyas philosophy, which is quite destructive in nature. I wish all of you all the best.